for today, let's turn our attention right there next. We have a little 3-game slate, and we did pull out a few angles and edges courtesy of the Dimers model. So much like we did with NFL on this program in the past, let's go game by game through this slate and see if we can find some ways to attack it. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, like I said, or like you said, Greg, we'll just go game by game since it's a small one. We'll just go in order too. We'll start with Bucks Thunder. Just a couple notes from me. It is the last day before the All-Star break. Teams may do some funky things with minutes for guys, so just bet cautiously. Be aware of that. Not really something we can predict, unfortunately, and it's been the story of the NBA once you hit about this time of year and later for several seasons now. So just something you have to consider and navigate as best as you can. And just so I don't have to keep saying it every time when we go over these games, if I refer to a team's rankings against a stat like points, rebounds, assists, etc., it'll be over their last 15 games, just for a more isolated sample size, something more recent to look at. But that way I'm not saying last 15 games enough to make a drinking game out of it in this show. So let's start. I'll just pull up the whole predictions anyway. Might as well. I think that makes the most sense. And we'll go with Bucks Thunder first and just dive in here. If it wants to cooperate, it's not clicking for me. Maybe just a little browser refresh. All right. Well, anyway, I'll talk about the game until this shows up. But no real big edges in this game. Last I checked, we'll double check this when this finally refreshes and loads for me here. Here we go. Little value on Bucks plus 13.5. Last I saw, we had that at 55%, 3.8% edge, minus 105. That's actually a little better. And so is the line. It's plus 14, looks like you can get. This was 50. This is plus 13.5 and a 2.7% edge. So you're getting a little better here now. Milwaukee is one of the worst teams against the spread this season, for what it's worth. Thunder are a little better, but they are under 500 covering the spread. 20-point Thunder win the last time out these guys face each other. Although you had both Giannis and SGA in that game, both are out tonight. It would suck if you bought tickets for this game a few weeks ago, anticipating you might see something good, because you are not going to. Thunder are also in like their worst little stretch of the season. Might be a game they're just trying to get out of healthy and get into the break. So I don't know if you'll see even a full complement of minutes from guys like Chet and Jalen Williams and those guys tonight. Maybe see some more Jared McCain after they just got him for the trade deadline. He had a nice little stretch last night, just rubbing it in for Philly. I don't hate the spread, given those reasons, but it's just not really one that's on my card. I don't play many NBA spreads as it is, but the NBA gets silly all the time, so I'd probably rather just bet the underdog, honestly, in kind of an unpredictable game and a weird scenario going into the break. We've got that just about fair. 15. We got a 1% edge, actually. Plus 600, 15%. Not the worst little sprinkle here, headed into the break with best player for each team out and kind of throwing things in limbo.
Yeah. I mean, leading into the break, there's so much uncertainty with just how our team's going to approach this. Obviously, rest your superstars is the MO pretty much across the board, across the league. We're going to see that in this game. I feel like with spreads with NBA, I very rarely bet them pregame, kind of like you said. But big numbers always get my attention, especially big numbers in this sort of pickup game environment where it's all the bench guys who everybody's going to play hard and, try to make a sort of a statement opportunity and opportunities you don't normally get with normal rotations. So it's a pretty big number. Some of the highest projected leaders in this game, AJ Green and Ryan Rollins, are guys that have put up big numbers when given opportunities like this in the past. Green's on a pretty big streak right now. So I don't hate that at all. I think I'd rather be on the big number plus the point side here as opposed to on the other side. What about props specifically? I know Green has been on a heater lately.
Yeah, nothing really in the way of actual prop value here. You could see just a couple props on steals. Not terrible probabilities. They are plus money, so the edges are strong. 45% for Wiggins, 2+. Dort under half a steal, 42.9%. But that's not really my kind of thing. So if you look at the projections, matchup wise, I think there's a couple things to look at here. The Thunder have actually been, make sure you get the right game here, pretty vulnerable to threes lately, ranked 22nd overall defending, 26th in attempts. Positionally, there's nothing really notable against them for forwards or centers. Not totally surprising, but for guards, that gets particularly worse. They rank 30th in both of those categories. Ryan Rollins, AJ Green, you just mentioned, Greg, both projected leaders here, 3.2 for each. Rollins was listed game time decision last I checked. I believe he did not play last night. So if I had to pick one, ahead of lineups, I'd lean AJ Green because he's not listed with any injury designations. Sometimes the battle with NBA is, do you want to bet it early while the value is there? Or do you want to wait closer to game time, know the lineups, and possibly lose a little edge on a guy, or even see his line move completely? I don't think that would happen in this scenario, but I've seen that where I've waited for, there was a Brunson line assists a few weeks, maybe last week even. He was like 5.5 assists, looked pretty good for a ladder. And by the time I went to get it, 7+ was minus odds. So kind of a dance you have to deal with. But Rollins has 4. He's got 3 in 3+ threes in 4 of his last 5 games. Green has 4+ in 4 of his last 5. Green's plus 147 for 4+. I think he's worth a little look for a ladder up to 6, which he's hit 4 times this season. He's never hit 7, so you could probably feel pretty comfortable about capping the ladder at 6 and not going beyond that. Other than that, on the flip side, the Bucks are actually the worst defense versus threes overall. A little bit of a weakness to forwards, but the Thunder don't really have a high volume 3-point shooting guy at that spot. So I might just look for our top projected guy in this, which is Isaiah Joe. He's actually gone down a bit. He was at 3.7 earlier, 3.3 now. I don't even see lines for him before. So not a ton of, I'm looking to attack prop wise in this game. If it would be Rollins or Green for threes, with a lean towards Green because he has no injury designation. But if they're both active, probably couldn't go wrong betting maybe both for 4+, 5+.
Yeah.
If you play both, maybe just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm on Green. That's the play for me here. I think especially, I think you like it more, obviously, if Rollins is out, just because he probably gets a couple extras up, but I think he has a really good chance of it regardless. Okay, let's turn to the second game on the card, Blazers and Jazz. Such a weird season for the Jazz. Blatant tanking that the league has almost had to publicly speak on. To that point, we now get the news that Jaren Jackson is going to miss the rest of the season, the newly acquired star for the Jazz. So I look, somehow, some way, this team is awesome against the spread. I think it's not a surprise that our model reflects that and shows value on the Jazz yet again tonight to cover the 8-point pregame spread. But I don't know about you. There's just an icky taste in my mouth with all things with this team.
Yeah, it's probably because the spreads are probably huge, right? They're probably massive spreads that they end up covering and still losing horribly, even while tanking. They've managed to win games in this weird tanking stretch, which is kind of bizarre. Like Yusuf Nurkic turned into Jokic for like a 3-game stretch, helped them win 1 game, messed with the tank, and they said, that's it. And they slashed his minutes, put him on the bench for the subsequent fourth quarters. I can't bet on a team that is tanking. I mean, you have a good against the spread record here. There's value. If you are a pure value bettor, then, this might be a line for you. But I just can't get behind betting on a team that is actively trying to lose games. You have no idea what's going to happen in those. But I will bet against them. They've been an absolutely great matchup for basically any position, trying to ladder up tons of different categories. I've had success with that this season. We've called out a few on this show, regularly seeing a guy in our top projected king of the court rankings when they play the Jazz. So let's just look at a couple props in here. Oh, Deni's back in here with his points line, which is pretty nice. I think this went up a point. It's probably why we're getting some value on him here, because it's plus money now instead of what it was at 22.5. Also on his assists, which is the angle that I had prepped for this, which I'll definitely talk about, but a pretty solid edge here on Deni to clear his line of 5.5, projected for, 6.9, 58% probability. That's gone up a bit, plus money here. Pretty good floor play if you want to do a ladder or just as a solid straight. Jazz ranked 29th in assists and 30th in points overall, 28th and 25th versus forward. So it looks like a pretty solid play if he's going to play his full minutes. He's over 6 in 6 of his last 12. All those games in 2026 calendar year. Jazz also ranked 20th against rebounds to forward. So I don't hate a sprinkle on even a triple double for Deni. Maybe just his assist ladder, but there's a big discrepancy on the books when I looked at that last. It was plus 1580 on DraftKings, plus 2700 on FanDuel. He does have 3 this year, flirted with one many times. Sure, there are other ways to bet this game by attacking the Jazz prop wise. They're defensively bad at pretty much everything. Take a quick look at the projections. Our 3-point always a good spot to look at against them. Tumani Kamara is our top projected 3-point shooter in this game. And for the Blazers, 2.4 though, not very much, but it is our top mark. He spiked for 8 threes the other night. He's their top guy by volume, so could be an interesting angle to look at as well. But it's definitely a bit of a messy game. I think not nearly anything as appealing as Green on the Bucks for me, but I did play a sprinkle on Deni's triple-double because of that huge odds discrepancy, almost twice as good at one book compared to the other. On a long shot like that, that's worth a play for me.
Yeah, the only fear when you play a team that is so blatantly tanking like the Jazz is if you're betting prop angles from the opponent that they might be up so much they rest the entire fourth quarter. And I mean, that happened the last time that Deni played Utah. This was at the beginning of the beginning of January, and it was a 20-point win for the Blazers. And Deni finishes with 33, 9, and 8 in 29 minutes. I mean, that's his lowest total basically of a 4-week stretch. He was playing 39 to 40 minutes most nights. It clearly, he doesn't even need to play his normal minute share in order to approach some crazy numbers, but it's kind of the one big bit of hesitation that keeps you guessing with something like that. I think all of the angles that you brought there from a props perspective speak for themselves, though. The team is trying to lose. Defensively, they're a total mess. Deni, I feel like I probably would go assists. I think you spoke to it already, but 56% probability according to the model that we can potentially go over that line of 5.5. Again, almost a triple-double last time he played this team in very limited minutes. Triple-doubles are worth a shout as well, but I would just sprinkle that. It's a good shout by you. Lastly, tonight we have the Lakers and the Mavs. This would be the Luka Anthony Davis rematch, although a lot has changed for these two since that trade. So what do you see here?
That's just so funny to me. Just over a year ago, we had that trade, and tonight neither one of them are playing in this game for different reasons, but that's kind of the sad comical poetry that is the NBA a bit. You can't really make it up, but you can here because the NBA is just oftentimes an unserious league. But you can get an edge here on the Mavs to cover. It's actually shortened up a little bit. Only 0.6%, 53% probability at +7, projecting a 6-point victory for the Lakers. Better play is on the under of 235.5, where we have that at 53.6%. 2.4% edge, almost even money at -105. Sweet spot as well. NBA over-under bets in this edge range have returned 21.4% profit over 32 similar bets. So not a huge sample size at this edge range for totals, but a pretty solid 21.4% ROI so far this season there. So again, not a team I love to get behind, but pretty solid, at least as far as the value is concerned. But again, Dallas, one of the poorer teams against the spread. Props wise, you got a little first basket value here, which we didn't have in the other games. Kind of cool. Both of them on the Mavs. You got Max Christie and Najee Marshall, each, 11.2% for Christie, 14.4% for Marshall. 5 first buckets through 39 starts for Christie, 2 and 28 for Marshall. So not actually terrible hit rate there for Max Christie, plus 1,100. That's definitely a better hit rate than those odds imply. Anyway, Marshall is the second highest overall of the night, which you can see, by the way, now. First baskets are in our NBA projections. You can just scroll over all the way to the right. Sort by first basket. Oh, he's actually the highest of the night now. He was just behind Lauri Markkanen, who has now dropped to 13.9%. So, yeah, you get an edge on our top projected guy to score the first basket tonight. Pretty solid spot. And like I said earlier, 2 of the favorites scored last night from our top 5. So that's where the model was more dialed in, at least as far as last night's concerned. But, yeah, I might have to sprinkle on Marshall at least.
I don't hate it.
And
I
then
don't hate it. Marshall's one of those guys, like, there's so many guys in this unserious NBA league now that, like, name brand alone, I can barely even believe they're in the league. And then you look at some of these games where the stars are out and he's just putting up insane numbers. Like, there's so much talent in that league, even if you're not the all-star level first option types. And the Mavs are a weird team. Obviously, they've gone very quickly from, like, we're contending with Anthony Davis to we're blowing this up and building around Cooper Flag. I still can't really get a read on exactly what they want to be right now. But without Coop in this game, it makes it even more of an interesting spot for me. Possibly a look into like vintage LeBron. Maybe I don't know. With all the stars out, could he just run it back one time before this All-Star break?
maybe. I mean, it's a good time for him too, right? I mean, we know he loves the attention. It's a small slate. He's in the late game, going into the All-Star break. Kind of a bit made out of what he's not going to be eligible for first team All NBA or whatever anymore, or at least this year because of how many games he's missed. But I don't know. I could see it happening. The Mavs rank like pretty low in the primary categories. 23rd in points, 24th in rebounds, 27th in assists overall. They're actually pretty good versus guards, but so that poor defense is actually weighted against forwards. And, obviously that's LeBron right there. 3 straight double doubles for him with assists. He's flirted with triple double a bunch of times lately. What do you got him projected for? 23.3, 6.4, and 8.4. Not that far off. I will say the books definitely are aware of the good matchup. He hasn't had a triple double yet this season, but he's around plus 800 to plus 950, depending where you look. That's obviously not chump odds or anything, but it's not plus 2,500. For example, like Deni Avdija, who's had 3 and is playing a terrible team, where that could bleed the stats to him. So it's not a quiet, value spot or anything, but it certainly could see it happening. I mean, why not? That or an Austin Reeves nuclear game randomly. He hasn't had one of those since he returned. Don't remember if he went off significantly before his injury, but we've seen him have those kind of crazy games. So who knows? It's going to be a weird night, honestly, before the break. But if there's anything I'm looking at, it's probably just LeBron to hit some of these marks, maybe go a little bit over, maybe pick up a double, 23 and 8 in our projections. It's like, not that far off.
Yeah, I like LeBron assists, if anything, with Luke out. I think he just takes on the full-time facilitator role. I think that's obvious. 3 straight games with 10 assists. So that's where I would look if I'm looking Bron. It's just hard. Like old LeBron, it's like automatic bet triple-double every night, and you'll probably get an ROI on it. New LeBron, there's so many questions on like, is he resting? Is he not? Like, how does the game script go? It is right before All-Star weekend, and Lord knows where his head is at with that. Maybe his potential final All-Star appearance. You never know. So for me, the one thing you can guarantee in this game, he's going to basically be running point for the Lakers, as he does every game that Luka's out. And that's yielded good results lately. 3 straight games with 10 assists. So, all right, there we go. Dave, thank you very much. What's your favorite personal play tonight? If you had to pick one that we talked about, what's on your card?
It's the green 3s for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I like that shout. I think I'm going Deni. I'm going back to that matchup and maybe looking at Deni assists. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Maybe I'll have to play a little mini ladder of both.
Yeah. Do that. Yeah. Why not? A little get our mojo going as we start to go more and more into NBA season. That's a good way to do it.